Good morning, Joy Nook Book Club. Welcome back to another Saturday book club. I'm going to say discussion. We're going to go ahead and call it for what it is. It's a discussion. Did I just pop my lips? I sure did. Like I ate something good. Y'all, I did not. No, I didn't. I got something to drink over here, but I did not eat anything right this second that's that good that I was sitting up here popping my lips. However, I want to get into discussing the book for today. See, the book that we're doing today, it can resonate with any and everyone. It has no bearing on race. It has no bearing
Mm-mm,
on, age. It
mm-mm,
doesn't matter
mm-mm,
because we all can get married and
mm-hmm,
already be broken. We bring it
mm-hmm,
into the marriage, but yet we might
mm-hmm,
be trying to expect something from someone else. We've been there. We've all been
mm-hmm,
there. Some of us are
mm-hmm,
still married and can remember when you started in your marriage, y'all, and how you felt and how you thought it was going to be. And
mm-hmm,
you know what? Some change for the better, some change for the not,
mm-hmm,
right? But either way, we all had
mm-hmm,
to grow up in the process. In the book for today, Married with Broken
mm-hmm,
Pieces, y'all, you know I love showing the cover. The cover says it all. But if you notice, it doesn't say unmarried with broken pieces, it says married with broken pieces. We are taking a candid look at what we each and every one of us probably have said to ourselves, have felt, have done. No judgment zone, right? No judgment zone. We're able to
mm-hmm. Right.
relate to any and everything that she is writing in this book. I was able to sit down in one setting, one y'all, to finish this book. I sat down, thought I was gonna go ahead and do it for, 2 days. And I just thought, I was like, y'all. I was like, no, she didn't. Why she gonna do that? You know what? I did that too. What? No, don't, no, no,
uh,
no, Lakeisha, don't do that. But she did. But you know what? We do that to ourselves. And the
mm-hmm.
beauty in this
We
book
do.
is that not only does she say, this is what was done to me, she also said, but this is what I accepted.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I okayed until I
Yeah.
stopped being okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
We all get that way. You know how they say when a woman's sick and tired of being sick and tired? Y'all,
Mm-hmm.
come on now. I know as I was saying it, y'all all probably saying, yup, yup, Allenia. Y'all probably had your
Mm-hmm.
face turned, twisted, side eyeing, and everything. Yup, Allenia, I know what you're talking about. And that's exactly what
Mm-hmm.
we are going to be discussing today. I want to start us off because y'all know I have to say, I have to read something to get y'all ready. One whole woman is attracted to one whole man. A half a woman is attracted to a half a man.
Mm-hmm.
That thing is short but powerful. And I say that because this is what happens when we get married and we haven't worked out some of those pieces that we either ignored, knew were there,
Mm-hmm.
but we thought, you know what, he got stuff too, so I got
Mm-hmm.
stuff, he got stuff, but I love his mesh, y'all. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not saying that you don't love him, but you don't love the stuff. You really don't. And
Mm-mm.
then you find yourself
Nope.
probably getting angry with yourself because you don't love the stuff you bring into
Mm-hmm.
the table too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
today, I want to introduce you to the author of today's book, Lakeisha Thomas. She is a wife and a mother of four. She is a mompreneur. She is the proud creator and owner operator of Lachey's LLC, which is a motivational movement offering inspiration, motivation, sophistication through business expos, community service, books, and fashion, allowing her the opportunity to encourage the hearts and minds of women and young girls in Houston, Texas, and abroad. Yeah, she said Houston, Texas. Y'all got that snow, didn't y'all, Lakeisha? Did
Yes,
y'all
we did.
y'all did? Yo, I all this
Yes.
time, I know my youngest, she wants to move to Texas so bad. I don't know if she rethinking things now that it snowed down.
I
She might be rethinking. She might be here
know.
in Maryland for a little while longer.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, she is from Houston, Texas. So, y'all, if you notice, the authors are coming from some places and stations, right? Seasons and reasons. That's what they're here to give us some things to read and to grow and to learn and to know. In 2020, Lakeisha completed an inspirational book called Married with Broken Pieces. I am honored that she said yes. Yes to a woman that she didn't know. Yes to a platform she didn't know. And yes
Mhm.
to allowing our membership to be able to hear her words and to discuss her book. So it is my great pleasure to be able to drop the mic to Lakeisha Thomas. Enjoy, y'all.
Thank you. Okay, so till that to us. The holidays are here, and unfortunately, he asked if the kids could come and spend it with him in Atlanta. No matter how upset and frustrated I was with our relationship, I never wanted to keep our kids away from him. And he always was there for them because at the end of it all, they needed both of us. I didn't want to, but I said it was okay if they spent the Christmas holidays with him, although it was going to be him and the other woman like they were one big happy family. I humbly obliged. Being he hadn't seen them as much since he moved there earlier that year, and the whole situation with us moving to the East Coast due to Katrina. He drove from Atlanta with the other woman to get them. They spent the holidays with them and he drove them back. But this time, he came alone. And he had the nerve to tell me we were going to get back together. I laughed and I told him he was crazy. Now, how are you going to say that after you just spent the Christmas holidays with someone else? Not to mention, he was trying to get me to hug him while she was sitting in the car when they came to pick the kids up. When my husband brought the kids back to Maryland after the holidays, he made a turnaround trip. I guess he had to make it back so she wouldn't feel some type of way, knowing she let him come and bring the kids along. But we talked just about the entire ride back. After that, he began to call every day while he was at work. Of course, not when he was at home, because she was there. I must be honest, it was almost like we were starting all over again. Although I still didn't trust him or believe we were going to be together. So we proceeded with our daily talks about mostly us repairing our marriage, of which I had to seek God on because the past played back amid those good conversations. And we've been here before. So why would it be any different this time? Because this is our second time, you know, getting back together. First time I went on my own accord. I didn't pray about it. I didn't ask God. I just was like in my feelings. I was like, I'm tired of being by myself. We got two kids. I'm going back to my husband. I didn't think about if my feelings was gonna be hurt, even though I doubted it was gonna change. I still went back. So this was round number two. Why would it be any different this time? But if we were, I had to be clear in my heart and thoughts. So I wrote a prayer. And I was particular about what I wanted from God. Either He was going to help me be healed and release myself from my husband if he wasn't serious about changing, or help me to see him in his honest place and forgive him if he was. Detailing every change I wanted to see in our relationship. Made a couple of copies, taped it up in an envelope, and gave one to my mother, grandmother, and my uncle, a couple of prayer warriors, and asked them to agree with me in prayer. A few weekends later, we would travel to Delaware where my sister and uncle lived and had family prayer. And my uncle came out with the envelope just as I gave it to him. Never opened, repeated to me what I wrote in that prayer letter to me, and said, God said it was well for me to get back with my husband. That was my confirmation. After all, I had never told any of my family that I was even thinking about us getting back together because I didn't want to upset myself for hurt and disappointment again. Not shortly after, I remember he called me one day and said, I'm going to call you tomorrow and tell you everything. And I was a little baffled because that was the first thing he said as soon as I answered the phone. I don't know if he went to sleep with that on his heart or woke up with it or both. I said, okay, tell me everything about what? He replied, us. Everything that I lied about. And I said, okay. Just as he said he would, he told me everything, even some things I had not even a clue about. And then a couple of days later, I was attempting to call him, and his phone was off for some reason. I knew it had something to do with her, and my husband called me later on that day. From I thought it may have been a payphone, and I asked him, did she turn off your phone? And he told me, yes, she did. She probably noticed his call log, where we talked every day, and figured she was not having it. Back together again. One night, we were on the phone planning us getting back together. Where do we want to live and things of that nature, and a phone call came through. He asked me to hold on, and when he came back, all he said was, I'm so sorry for messing up our family. And I'm saying, what happened? But he kept repeating it, and I said, what is it? She said that she is pregnant. Complete silence came across the line for about 2 to 3 minutes. I told him I would call him back as the tears began to flow. And as we hung up, he said he was sorry again. It was late, but I had to call my friend Karen and ask her what did she think, because I was like, this baby is going to be the demise of what I thought was going to be what God said it would be. Was I going to have to deal with the baby mama drama? Because although I didn't have an issue with her, she sure seemed to have a problem with me, and I'm his wife. But I knew what that was about. But Karen initially said, oh wow, and she didn't want to give me an answer because she didn't want to tell me anything wrong, which I understood. After all, that wasn't something she had to deal with before, and respected her for not giving me that girl if I was you answer, which we have a bad habit of doing when, even though we may feel like we encouraging somebody, sometimes that girl, if I was you, this what I would have done, or this, and we don't really know that because especially if we have never experienced that actual situation, we don't know what we really would have done. We feel like we know we would, but in actuality, we probably really don't know until you've actually been in that actual situation. So I respect her for not, her taking the time to think about it before she replied to what I asked her. After all, I believe it's crazy for us to say that when we haven't experienced the situation personally. However, we spoke a couple of days later, and Karen told me, Keisha, if you forgive your husband, you believe in your heart that he is sincere, and you want to get back together, do it. Although we were married on paper, we hadn't been together physically for 2 years. That night after I hung up with Karen, I woke up my mom, who was in the other room, asked her the same thing. She said, if you believe your husband is sincere and you forgive him without reminding him of everything from the past, don't let your marriage go. I slept on it and prayed and cried another day or two. But I had to remember the word that my uncle gave me about my prayer. After that, I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going back. We were back planning our reunion. We couldn't go back to New Orleans, which neither of us wanted to. So we made Houston, Texas our home. No, everything wasn't all as well. We were still in a place of working and coming into a new home together. Although I said yes, I continued in my struggle of dealing with another child that was not my own, coming into our world in the midst of trying to heal and recover, of who I wasn't or never would be mad with or treat indifferently because she had nothing to do with what her mother and father chose to do. The things that bothered me first was what would be the dynamic of this new environment that I was subjecting myself to of an outside child and her mother. Y'all know how those baby mama drama stories go, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that. But I was trusting God with what He told me. You hear all these baby mama stories and all the cattiness, fighting and bickering, and I did not want to have any parts of that and refused to be getting into it with someone every time it came to my husband, ensuring that he's a part of his child's life. My second heartache was that she was giving my husband something I had prayed for some years. She would give him his first little girl. Now, what would that add to this family circle if it didn't already feel like a slap in the face? I had to go back into prayer and be sure this is what I want to do. And with God's strength, could I handle it? We say that God is in control, but do we know that He is? After moving forward, my husband and I were coming to be in a trustworthy place, relearning one another, growing, seeing things more as a couple. I was so surprisingly comfortable with my husband and how he was walking as a man of his word in all that he confessed and professed in us reuniting as well as having a miscarriage. God blessed us with our first and only baby girl, which I believe in my heart God gave her to us knowing what would be the attempt of the enemy to try and bring confusion back to our relationship with him having a daughter outside of the home. But God, when we pray, He will answer and fight on our behalf. My husband and I have been back together 14 years. Actually, this year will be about 16 years. And I believe God is not through with us yet. There is so much more for us to see, do, and say to encourage, inspire, and touch the lives of others. We don't have it all together and have things that we work on every day, but we are better moving forward along with God as our guide. The way God allowed us to reconcile and move forward may not be what God has or desires for you and your mate. However, we are a testament that if you want it to work with the commitment on both parts and God as the center of your union, I would say it will work.
Yes, yes, yes. That was beautiful. Thank you, Lakeisha.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you.
I know that when, so you wrote this, this is after everything happened. How many years after
Mhm.
all of this did you write your book?
Actually started writing this in it's 21, probably in 2018, 2017,
Mm,
2018. I slowly writing it because I was, like you said, a little nervous about laying myself out there like that,
mm-hmm,
and as well as my husband, because people see him and they don't see him this way in this book. So
right,
I didn't
right.
want people to be looking at him a different way because that's not who he is now. And then I was like, oh
Mm-hmm,
my goodness, people are gonna see all the stuff. Like you said, people like, girl, you did that. You went Mexican.
mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff kind of kind of had me like, oh, I don't know if I want to put us out there like that. But then after I prayed about it and I was like, it's a testimony. Like you said, I'm not the only one who went through it. And
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. Somebody might be going through it right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they may be able to share some, what they're going through.
Right, right. And it's interesting that you said it took you some time. You didn't just act on
Mm-hmm.
impulse. Hey, I'm going to just write this. You
Mm-mm.
had to take some things in
Mm-mm.
consideration. You really did.
Yes.
So I noticed, and
Yes.
that's where my question is kind of leading back to. One of the things that you wrote in your thank you was to your husband, and
Mm-hmm.
you said in here, I love you dearly for being transparent to let women and men know not only that God can change a man, but that as a man, you can choose to allow God to guide you to be better in the change breaking generation. I'm sorry, breaking generational curses of their past. So I want to know from you,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's hard for you to just speak on behalf of your husband, but you wrote the book, so that's why I'm asking. Okay. So
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
how does your husband feel about this work of art right here?
Now this is the funny thing. He he actually brought up the idea of how we got to this book, because we were joking around and he was talking about starting, like, having a little show, about he and I, to show people
Mm-hmm.
where we had came from. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if I want to be in the public eye like that. But I told him I'll write about it.
Right.
And I asked his input on it, and did he want to say? He was like, no, our story, you can tell it. And he had no, reservations about what I would say or not anything. He
Mm-hmm.
was okay with everything.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
and
he
and
was
that
very comfortable.
good, good. Because I'm not going to lie. You tell Mr. Robert that I said I would love to know what he was thinking, because that was going to be another question. Have you thought about
Yeah.
adding or doing a second book to really say his side? Because this is, to
Yes.
me, your side.
Yes.
But have you thought about doing it? I know
Yes.
you said a show, but
Yes. And I've asked him, did he ever want to tell his side, or even do like a podcast or something, just so
uh
people can hear his side of the
right.
story. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't know. He's still kind of like, he feel like I told the story, but I tell him all the time, my perspective may not be, what his is, and how
Yes.
things went. So
Right.
maybe eventually we may get him to come out and tell his actual full side of how he felt the
Right.
whole thing went.
Tell him he can just dictate it and you do the rest.
Maybe so.
you Yeah, he dictating. And I because I did I kid you not, I was wanting to know. I don't want to give things away, because you tell some juicy bits and things in this book. And the time when you came back the second time, that when you went
Mhm.
back to Maryland the second time,
Mhm.
I want to
Uh-huh.
know what he was
Mhm.
thinking when he was trying to call. I'm not lying. I was like, oh, what was he thinking? What was he thinking? That's what. You better be glad you still around. Oh my goodness. But I did. I was
Yes.
like, I really wanted to
Yes.
know what he was thinking when
Yeah.
he saw you for the first time at
Mhm.
school,
Yep.
and in 1992. Uh-huh. I
Mhm.
wanted to know, like, what he was thinking. Like, it
Yeah.
was just so many
Yeah.
times,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know um because you wrote
Yeah.
at the end. And I love how some of the chapters you have this thought, like this perspective of where you were at. you told some details,
Mhm.
but then you kind of told where
Mhm.
your heart or your mind really was, or what the reality
Mhm.
of what was going on.
Mhm.
And like in 1992, when you
Mhm.
wrote that chapter, you wrote, she began to
Yeah.
feel as if the hole in her heart was beginning to be filled, but to find out that it was
Mhm.
going to be pulled further apart. That right there,
Yeah.
that young love, right? That's that young love.
Yeah. Mhm.
And
Yes. Yes.
when you wrote that, when you wrote that piece, where was your mind really at, like when you were reflecting on, because it looks like you reflected on what you wrote, and y'all, I'm telling you,
Mhm.
she gives
Mhm.
it to you in these nice small increments, so you're not getting force
Yeah.
fed a whole bunch of information all at one time, but you are getting information. So where was your what were you thinking after writing this chapter, and then writing that perspective? What were where was your mind, what was your mind thinking?
I, and that's funny you asked that because when you writing this, I had to go back to that place because like a lot of that stuff I don't really think about anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because we are not in that place, so I had to kind of bring myself back to that broken place of
Mm-hmm.
feeling like this is gonna make me feel like the love that I desired for so long, you know,
Mm.
and as it, as the relationship gets to progress, it's like, no, it's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually adding to what you already was feeling like you
Right.
didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a, you kind of don't want to be there, but in order to tell the story, so
Right.
people can
Right.
understand it, you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
bring your feelings back to that place.
Right.
And then you write, and then you crying, and you're like, okay, I'm writing for today.
Right.
I'll come back
Right.
to this later.
Right.
This is bringing up too many emotions, and then you come back to it, you think about it, you process it, and you be like, but you're not in that place anymore. So
Right.
give the people the full thing so they can understand, the brokenness.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And I think you kind of touched on something, because I think we as authors, it's easy to write sometimes when you're in the midst. I think it's more
Hmm.
challenging to write after
Yeah.
you have
Yep.
processed and
I think
healed.
so.
Yeah, because you,
Yeah.
like you said it real clear. You have to revisit some things, some ugly things, some hard stuff,
Yeah.
some things that you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, do I have
Yeah.
to? But then, do you feel like you held back because of that? Like, because you didn't want to dive in as hard, because like I said, there were some spots I was like, I know there's more. Do you feel like you held back in
Yes.
some
Yes.
areas? Yeah. and
Oh, I
and
definitely did.
you
I
said you
did.
definitely did. So, um
Yes.
have you, and with that being said, because like I said, I mean, it walks you through your journey, and that was a journey that
Mhm.
you and he went
Mhm.
on. You weren't in that by yourself, even though you were
Yeah.
separated. The journey was both of
Mhm.
you there. So, and I was just like, I'm just wondering if she felt like she kind of held some things back, and then
Oh yeah.
and didn't put it on the
Mhm.
table like
Mhm.
she really wanted to do. So no, that's
Yes.
it still takes a lot of courage, because like you said, people are going to read this, and you know how folk
Mhm.
are. They act like people don't
Mm-hmm.
grow and glow. I wish somebody would try to bring something back up
Exactly.
with me. I'll look at them and say, excuse me, you don't sin, you
I
don't
know, right?
I'm just trying to figure this out. I would be coming
Exactly.
back and asking some
Mm-hmm.
questions. All right, I have another one. All right, here we go. um you know I remember once again, I remember once asking my mom, why did God let me marry him? And she said, God will give
Mm-hmm.
us the desires of our heart. Talk to me about that one.
Mm-hmm.
When you said that,
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah,
you
I
wrote
remember
that,
that.
rather.
I remember that. I don't remember the actual what transpired that day, but I do remember that moment asking her that.
Okay.
And that's what she said. She said, God will give us the desires of our heart because He knows we're going to have to come back to Him to get to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And partly because He knows we are going to do it anyway. And we're going to have to come
Mm.
back to Him
Right.
so that He can
Right.
fix it. So He
Right. Right.
allowed me. And it just makes me think about it was significant to me until this day. The night before our wedding, all the way up until that morning, it stormed. When I say it
Mm.
stormed, but as soon as it was time for me to go out the house and get in the limousine, it was beautiful. It was beautiful outside. And the whole
Wow.
day that thereafter that night was beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
I think about that all the time because I'm like, it was almost like God, you showed me through the rain and the sun. Like they say, the sunshine comes after the rain. That's how I feel like that was
Mm-hmm.
in that whole situation from the
Right.
time we got married until we reunited. And
Right.
that's what I think about when I think about me asking my mom that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I was reading that, I was like, that's a heavy question, because I was just like, is she
Yeah.
questioning
Hmm.
God or is she questioning herself? And that's where I was at with it. Like,
God herself.
was she up there
Uh huh.
really? She
Yeah.
trying to put it on the Lord. She up there trying to put it on the Lord, and the Lord was like, I done gave you a storm as you want.
Yes.
What else do you want, Lakeisha? I gave you a
Yes.
whole, not a half a.
Yes.
He give you a half a storm.
Yes.
Gave you a whole storm.
Yes.
Like
But
saying, you
you
know
know
what?
that's how we do. We are blaming on the
Mm-hmm.
Lord.
Yep. Yep. And it's like, Lord, you know good what you should you needed to have told my mama
Yes.
to tell me not to do it. It's
Yes.
like we
Yes.
gotta blame somebody, right?
We gotta blame somebody.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. But I thought it was funny. So did your husband ever relate to you that he questioned it as well, the marriage?
No, till this day he always said that he loved me and he knew he wanted to be with me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lifestyle that he saw
Got
as
you.
far as being with other women.
Mm-hmm.
So he mimicked that.
Got you.
And it was also condoned. So
Mm,
it didn't, it kind of allowed him to stay in that position longer than he probably would have if it wasn't.
right. Okay. And
Hmm.
fair enough. Because
Yeah.
we mimic what we see.
Hmm.
And that's just a
Hmm.
reality.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's once we
Yes.
it's once we value what the loss really is. And I think that's where that shift came from with him. Because I was like,
Hmm.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
you up there calling my girl. You up there calling my girl. Mhm. Oh, you calling her now. Now you worried? Like, I really was. Lakeisha,
Now
I'm
you
telling
worry.
you, I'm sitting up there.
Exactly.
My poor husband, he probably was like, who is she talking to? I was like, oh, you thought that was really
Yes,
gonna be easy. Girlfriend said,
yes.
nah, I wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
answering the phone.
Nah.
I got things to do.
Mm-mm.
So
I
I
got
loved
stuff to do. I don't have
I
time for
got
this.
stuff to do. I loved how you started getting you back, how you started, and
Yes.
and you didn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always an
Mm-hmm.
ongoing
Yeah.
process, an ongoing process. I
Yes.
want to make sure I'm
Yes.
getting my questions in
Always.
because I know me, because I just deviated. um, uh, so I will say I'm going to ask this. I kind of alluded to this in an earlier question, but it is a more specific question. But was
Mm-hmm.
writing the writing of this book, are you considering that this is it? Or are you looking to write maybe another, a partner book or part two or anything like that? I know we spoke about your husband's point of view, but I know we also said that you felt that you held back some things. So that's where
Yeah.
that question is coming from.
I yeah, I have been considering not so much a part two to this book. Although
Hmm.
yes, you're right. It was some things I thought about later. I was like, should I have said that? Should I have told that? But my thing had what I thought about writing was more towards the broken relationship with me and my dad.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's how I
Mm,
got to the place of being in a broken marriage. So
yes.
I have been thinking about expounding more on that and the brokenness in that relationship and what I desired and how I've come to grips with it may have been some things that was broken in my dad, so he didn't really know
Hmm.
how to be the dad that I desired.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
have been thinking about that. I haven't really started writing. I just been thinking about
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right. I think it's a good thought because I was loving it. I was like, oh yeah, that would be a good one too. Look at me up there pumping you up. You have one of those girlfriends that's just like, yup, girl, you need to go here and do that. I
Yeah.
think you should do it. Yup, sound good to me. You gonna help me with the work? I didn't say all that. I just said it was a good idea.
I say it was good.
Right. I just said it was good. I didn't say I was gonna help you.
Yes.
Because we
I
all got
say
that
that.
one girlfriend, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know what
Yes.
ages your children are, but have they read this? Have they read your book?
No, they haven't read it. My two
Okay.
oldest, we've shared some of our challenges with them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in as detail as it may be in the book, but they kind of know some of our challenges, especially my oldest, who will be turning 25 this year. So he kind of knows some of the
Okay.
struggles we had at the beginning. My two little babies, they have no clue. My youngest is 4, and my daughter, she's just made 13. So they have no idea of
Got
all
you.
the stuff that we went to. And
Right.
they don't see us in that broken place.
Right. Okay.
Now, will they
And
ever read it? I'm not sure. They may.
right, right. And it's always questions like that when as an author knowing what your family feels about how you're writing,
Yes.
what you're doing and how you're
Yeah.
putting putting it out there. You are, and it is
Yeah.
going to help. I'm telling you, this is going to help a lot of women.
Oh, thank you.
um for
Thank
sure,
you.
for sure. The next question, I want to make sure I get all my questions in. Uh, so okay, so we're at the place of broken. Was this was this the beginning of you going into the education part of your business and the motivational and the inspirational part of your business expos. What did creation
Actually, the creation of my business actually started when I was separated from him in Maryland. That was part of me getting back to myself. That's how I actually got to it. Um, I planned it out from to the T, what I wanted to see in my business, what I wanted to do as far as the business, the expos, the all everything. That I used to sit down and that's how I would get my peace. I would sit down and write the plan out. Just as the word said, write the vision and make it plain. I would
Mhm.
I would write it down. I would do cut and paste. I would everything,
Right,
and
right,
that's how I would spend my day because my boys at the time they were little babies. So that's how I would spend my time, not focusing on him, on my husband and what he was doing, and if he was what he was doing. Well, I was praying. I was reading my Bible. I was learning how to start a business, how to get an LLC. That was my time spent. And so
right,
yes, that's that whole situation got me to uh, getting my business started.
right. I I think it's wonderful. What else, like, this one I know what question I wanna I know what question I wanna ask you. So was what was the toughest chapter to write? Which one was the
I think the toughest was all this discussion of me and my dad because my dad passed away some years ago. So a lot of the things that I may have said, we never got to really discuss in detail, and we never will. So I think all the stuff I discussed as far as my relationship with my dad, and how I didn't get, we didn't get to the place I would have liked us to get to before he left. I think those were the really emotional uh, challenges I had while writing.
or yeah, I enjoyed and I
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thank you.
for saying woman, uh, platform you didn't know. I thank you for saying that. I'm telling you, I will not get a copy of this book. Where can they get it? And remember, join the club. You won't you don't have to go get a pen and paper and write it down. You just listen, read at the top of the description box, y'all. Don't try to run around. Don't do it because you gonna start you're gonna be like, oh man, what are these? Gotta replay it. No, you took out the time. So she's gonna give all of her contact information.
Yes, you can get the book on Amazon at Amazon.com. And you can reach me I'm on Facebook at Lady Lachey's, Lashaes, and I'm on Instagram, same thing, at Lady Lachey's. And my email is catering to the number two women at gmail.com.
Y'all heard that. You heard that from the author's mouth. Where you get it at. Check it out. If you have had no, I do have a question. I have one last question, and it just popped in my head, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all know I can do so don't act like that. Why producer is gonna be over there like, no, she didn't. She went out of the water. Y'all chill. It's It really is. In your opinion, who is
Mhm.
ideal reader looking at this book?
I would say the ideal reader is any woman or man who is feeling like this is not working. This is not working. It's not working. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with her. If you feel like this is not working, I would say this book is for you.
Y'all heard
Do
that?
you feel like marriage is not working at all?
Mm-hmm. Right. See, I told y'all it was a good question. See, so y'all continue to my it didn't take no more time. Lakeisha, thank you. Thank you. Miles, thank you, thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Join the club. Y'all know that I like it's something else that I enjoyed from the book. A lot of good things. One, like, I want to read that. We have to take the time to pray and uh, say we want to spend the rest of our life and find ourselves living romance, which is not totally or yes, there are parts of excitement to be expected. However, marriage is a covenant you and God. That is, you will believe, get you through bad, bad, of which you are more than likely to experience a little bit of both. Join the club, enjoy your weekend, have
Hmm.
a fantastic weekend. Make sure that you take yourself some time to think, reflect, ladies.